What is up, fellas? Hopefully all is well. JPS delivers here. The commitments have hit. Played Kansas. Didn't feel the need to record that, especially if this series is just going to continue on at a decent pace. Just feel like I don't have to play every single game or record every single game I play. Obviously, I'm going to play every single game. But we end up getting the Vogel Pal Bros, strong safety D tackle, and we also got Mr. Timmons, number 2 in the country D tackle. Now that was a position. It's sort of like the linebackers. We're gonna miss a lot of linebackers heading in to the next season. I mean, Matt Dodge, linebacker number 37, number 28 on this A&M defense. Maybe we get Stephen McGee back in company. I know we're gonna get Mike Goodson. We're gonna have to just refill a lot of positions on this team. This A&M team's just not really going to be nearly as good as this one is. So it's going to be interesting how this season pans out. The recruiting, especially on the defensive end, has hit. We don't really need anybody on the offensive end all too much. We don't end up getting the fullback quite yet, but this week, I mean, the commitments hit. Rolling along, Aggies are 9-0. Steve McGee has a lot to do with that. The man is just starting to turn heads now. I know we pretty much, the game before this was Nebraska. Beautiful game against Nebraska by Steve McGee. 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. This team is 9-0, undefeated, headed to Oklahoma. Remember, we have Oklahoma, and then I believe after that, I just can't think. I think it's Oklahoma, Missouri. Yeah, we're going to be on the road against Missouri. Going to be on the road here against Oklahoma, and then at home against Texas. Now, Texas has lost to Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I believe, is the only other team besides A&M who is undefeated in the Big 12. Huge games against Kansas. Kansas still, I believe they were 5-2 before. Maybe they were 5-3, 9-0. As you can see, against 8-0 Oklahoma. The only loss for Texas has been against that Oklahoma team. This Oklahoma team, I think, is a better overall team, obviously, against compared to Texas. But when looking at it, this is not Sam Bradford Heisman season quite yet. So this team is, in my opinion, beatable. They don't have any great stars. But let's look at the awards right here. We finally got, the semifinalists for the awards. Maxwell, top players, pretty much the list of top 5 is pretty much going to replicate the list of what your Heisman watch is at the moment. Stephen McGee, actually 7th in the Maxwell Award. We'll see what he's like for the O'Brien Award, but usual suspects for the Maxwell Award that we're seeing pretty much most of the season. Alabama's wide receiver, Jamal Charles, running back for Texas. Colt Brennan, obviously. John David Booty. So right here, Davey O'Brien, man, he was in 7th behind some of these guys, actually just right behind Colt Brennan. 37 touchdowns, not nearly the 50-8 he had that eventually Joe Burrow ends up breaking, just 2 seasons ago at LSU. But John David Bowie right there, number 3 with USC. You got Mr. Brom, Chad Henne, I think Mr. Cherry Garcia. I don't remember his first name, but at South Carolina, Penn State's quarterback who was in the Heisman race for quite a bit. I think it was Mr. Parker Wilson at Alabama right there. Pretty sure it's John Parker Wilson or something like that. I mean, again, I'm saying some names, fellas, that it's just, I'm surprised that I remember some of it. I'm pretty sure that was the quarterback of Bama right there at the time. What best tight end? Cian Martellus, only 13 catches, but he's averaging over 20 yards a catch at this point, 300 plus yards. Those 4 touchdowns, I believe, if I'm correct, on 13 catches. The man's been getting it done. Obviously, we see, a usual suspect, familiar name from the past with B.J. Simmons, tight end with Iowa right there. The dude was a stud. Now looking at Lombardi, just not many guys on the defensive end. I kind of surprised at best linebackers we didn't get any of the guys. I feel like 37's been a beast, but here we go. This is where we get most of our players on the defensive end. It's a 9-0 team. We see the likes of Martellus Bennett, especially the season Steve McGee's having with the reward races. So it's it makes sense to see him. We'll see Mike Goodson for returner, but nothing until 4 of our players on the defensive end in our secondary in the top 8 for the Thorpe Award. That's 3 of our cornerbacks. We don't get the one guy odd man out free safety number 26, compared to strong safety number 9. But right there, Aqib Talib with Kansas is in there. Even the free safety for Texas Tech, UCLA's guys. It's quite impressive because it's this front seven that's done really well, but I think actually it's been kind of underrated for the efficiency, I think, of these, when it comes to turnovers at least, through the air, not more so like, fumbles and whatnot. But cornerback number 7, weirdly enough, I think it's the extra points for some reason are having a huge ass weight in the decision for Grozo Ward, our punter. Don't even see fucking stats, but for some reason, he's up there. We haven't punted all too much this year, but easily the best returner in the country has been Mike Goodson. I think he's one of the more underrated playmakers in college football right now. At least, he has a good amount of touchdowns. And it's going to be interesting to see how we can utilize him in these next, at least out of the 2 of the 3 next games against rivals, more so rival Texas. But Fran Chaboni, first season, 9-0, only 10th on the list for Coach of the Year. Maybe they're just waiting to see how things pan out against Oklahoma. But now looking at Heisman watch, usual suspects. I didn't even know the fuck it was talking about right there, but Cole Brennan, John David Booty, wide receiver number 15. It's not even Alshon Jeffrey at this point. I'm pretty sure Alshon Jeffrey, second best wide receiver on this team. But wide receiver number 22 of Bama. And then you go, familiar face for us, but not a familiar face for the Heisman watch. Number 7, Stephen McGee, junior redshirt for this team. Only 260 yards rushing. It's been mainly a focus to get the running backs involved in the running game. But just the efficiency, it's been running the play-action pass, setting up the passing game for this team, setting up a lot of easier touchdowns for the running backs by getting a lot of yards through the air. Has been this passing game with Texas A&M. But number 4 is the BCS rankings. Arkansas is there, Louisville is there, Virginia Tech's there, undefeated. Texas ahead of us, UCLA amongst the Pac-12 teams with USC. So the City of Fallen Angels has 2 teams that have not fallen quite yet. But look at A&M, huge win against Kansas last time out. Huge second half win against Nebraska, which ended up becoming a shit show. But number 12 in the country, undefeated, having a game advantage right now over Oklahoma. But Oklahoma, number 3 in the country. We are in Norman, Oklahoma. The skies are clear, ladies and gents, for what is pretty rare, considering the amount of fronts we've had. But however, though, it is 2007. The cameras go out. It might be a little bit extra windy. No, it's only 0 to 7 mile per hour winds. And it's about 59 degrees here in Oklahoma. Man, it gets chilly up there right before you hit Kansas and whatnot, but pretty much near the center, maybe a little bit of the south center of Oklahoma is Norman, Oklahoma, just south of Oklahoma City prior to the move, or this might be in the middle of the move. No, I think it's just a year before the Supersonics decided to move to Oklahoma City and become the Thunder and have pretty much 4 or 5 of the best first-round draft picks you could ever have. But that's in a different news right here. A&M gets picked by Lee Corso, which kind of annoys me because I like this underdog mentality. I think overall, though, in a game like this, even if Stephen McGee is playing better football than this quarterback, Sam Bradford, young Sam Bradford, because it's been this running back. And speaking of, beautiful first run right there, start off this game. A&M gets picked by Lee Corso, but I don't buy it necessarily. I just, I'm confident that we can do really, really well. But it kind of pissed me off that we're not the underdogs heading into this. But it is what it is. DeMarco Murray comes in right there. So they already have 2 running backs on this team. It's a run-heavy offense, this Oklahoma team, as we try to be run-heavy. But, it has become, just because of the efficiency in the passing game, it has totally become a balanced offense. And it has a lot to do with the emergence of wide receiver number 2. Wide receiver number 5 has played really well this season, but it's 2 who's come in as a huge target, in addition to Martellus Bennett. And then right here, I'm just going to stop running halfback tosses or halfback sweeps with Jaworski Lane. And then Stephen McGee, the pressure is on right here, gets the run, gets thrown down on the ground. But 3rd down, 3rd and 10, 3rd and long, number 1 team in the country, Stephen McGee in shotgun, 61% conversion rate. and make that a little bit higher, as it's going to be another third down conversion for Texas A&M in this offense, and it should be another first down as well. Stephen McGee getting down the field, trying to get the first points of the game. The man, Jaworski Lane, man. It's just, Mike Goodson, I think, is going to prove to be the way more highly used back out of the two. I think he will no longer be the feature back. It's just, he's just too good, and I think it's just in this kind of style video game, it's hard to not have the likes of Mike Goodson getting most of the touches in this offense out of the running backs, because Jaworski Lane is just getting tackled way too easily. He's just getting tackled way too easily. I know he's able to keep some momentum and whatnot, but that's just, he should be able to fight for that extra couple of yards instead of just 3 yards. Whatever. It is what it is, but it's still 0-0. Here's 2nd and 17 after the holding penalty on the previous 2 plays. Crowd is going batshit nuts. One of the hardest places to play in all of college football. Makes sense. It's one of the blue blood programs in all of college football history. It would make sense that they're amazing at home and make it that this defense ends up garnering a little bit of that momentum and changing in their direction. A team that Sam Bradford's going to need to step it up, but this defense is helping create any bit of confidence in this offense, and a nice run right there. 7 yards by halfback number 23. He's going to get another bit, and it's going to be a nice run. Huge highlight run right there. Not quite a touchdown, but the man already has 60 yards. Remember, that's going to be an important number to look at in comparison later on in this game. 60 yards already for this running back, as you see, well over 1,200 yards, 1,300 yards on the season, and then drop pass right here by wide receiver number 81. Not looking good. Not looking good. The running game's going well, but the passing game might be the hiccup on this OU team, as that ends up being a poorly chosen read right there by Sam Bradford. Going to be another interception on the season by linebacker number 37, a man that I was hoping and wishing was going to be in the award races, but it is what it is. Stephen McGee going to hit his man. He's wide open. Cornerback has nothing. Safety, star safety, impact player safety, I might add, ends up whiffing on the diving tackle, and it's going to be a huge change of momentum. A team that was just in the red zone, and now it's going to be an 80-plus yard touchdown play to wide receiver number 2, well over 100 yards just on these 2 catches to start off the game. 7-0, Oklahoma. It's going to be another drop pass, this time by Jermaine Gresham, one of the better tight ends in the country at this point. However, though, wide receiver number 84 is going to take this one to the house. Beautifully set up, beautiful call. The cover was there. There was no man on this screen whatsoever, and it ends up leading to easy blocks down the field. Beautiful read by the wide receiver to cut it up, read his blocks, and it's going to be a tied football game, 7-7. Going to run the play action. Going to be a nice pass right here by Stephen McGee. Not quite a first down, but it will be to Alexander, the fullback dive on the play. But later on in the drive, 2nd and 7, pass out of wide receiver number 2, a man that's flashing. It's going to drop the pass. Not much going for these offenses to start off, and then bam. Speaking of another mishap in the passing game, Texas A&M now dealing with pretty much an area in which OU's not going to fuck around. This team's at home. A&M's not. And it's just one of the hardest places to play. It doesn't matter if Sam Bradford's struggling or whatnot. And then, bam. I thought this running game was going to be hard to stop. Mr. Harrington comes in, hits the living tits out of this boy, halfback number 23, who has been highly efficient to start off this game. Gets just blown up on the play, and Sam Bradford ends up sneaking that one in. However, though, it's going to be too long of a third down. Now, Stephen McGee just gets completely rocked on this play. You're going to see quite a bit of big hits towards the end of this game, or at least the rest of this game from this point on. But 2nd and 9, Stephen McGee's going to back up. It's going to be a nice throw for what should be a first down. No, they're not going to give him a first down, but 3rd and inches. Fullback number 24, and it's just not going to be good enough. Maybe should have given it Jaworski Lane, but like I said, the dude's been pissing me off when it comes to his ability to break tackles and his just momentum to get to the line and whatnot. But it's going to be a nice play. Not going to be a sack, technically, by Mr. Michael Bennett, but it's going to be a nice play by him. And then another nice play by Thorpe Award semifinalist It's going to be A&M ball, but quickly after that, A&M gets sacked on that play, left end number 98. Part of this really, really solid Oklahoma defensive line around this time. And then Stephen McGee, nice run on the outside, will make a more manageable third down. 3rd and 4 now. Stephen McGee going to throw it to wide receiver number 8. Earlier, similar play, similar route. Might have been the same exact route by wide receiver number 8. And it ends up leading to actually a completed pass, no interception this time. A&M marching down the field 7-7. 7-7, another nice play. Now just under 45 seconds left here in the half. Stephen McGee running. What's he going to do? He's going to mess up on this one. Tries to set up for a clean pass, and it ends up leading to a dirty fumble that gets picked up by Gerald McCoy. Should be Oklahoma ball here on first down, and then Sam Bradford gets wrecked. It's going to be the end of the half there. Now, with just over 5.5 minutes here, pretty much the start of the second half. Texas A&M, huge play right there. And like I said, if you question it any bit whatsoever, run the no huddle. Who gives a fuck? And bam, huge passing play, about 40, 50 yards. Steve McKee's going to get rocked. However, though, we do take advantage of the 50 yards down the field. It's going to be a nice move to the outside. It's going to be Mike Goodson. Mike Goodson cuts it up, maybe buys another extra yard or two. Not a touchdown quite a bit, but here we go. Fullback number 24 just drops this. Just drops it. And that's a pain in the ass. USC handling Oregon State right there. The Rogers twins just getting rocked by John David Booty and company. But a pass in right there. Wide receiver number 5 should have been picked off. But it's going to lead to Groza Award hopeful semifinalist. Kicker number 7. Just 2 great seasons we're seeing by both kicker number 7 and Stephen McGee, quarterback number 7. It's going to be now 3-point lead, 10-7 against Oklahoma. And then nice deflection right there by cornerback number 18. He is not actually in the semifinalist award race amongst the 4 of the Aggies that we see. And then right here, this is the offensive side of the ball, though, that we're showing for Texas A&M. It's going to be another sack for left end number 98. Only up by 3 at this point. Nice little audible. What's going to happen with Stephen McGee? It's going to be intercepted. The audible seemed like a decent idea. The route was setting up for what should have been a first down. Had he thrown it to the correct wide receiver on that one, but wide receiver number 5 not able to beat what ended up being double coverage at that point. Terrible decision by Stephen McGee. Pretty rare terrible decision as well. 10-7 still at this point. And then bam, this shit happens. Sam Bradford. Steve McGee, a man that had a couple huge plays already in this game, but a man who wasn't able to match it. Sam Bradford just not playing well whatsoever. They started off this game very, very strong with the running game. And speaking of what is now strong, didn't start off strong. A tale of opposite beginnings and ends. Oklahoma now struggling on offense. A&M starting to get things done in the running game. Speaking of using that running game to build upon the efficient passing offense, there it is, a play action on that play action boot thrown to Martellus Bennett, like I showed earlier. 2nd place in the Mackey tight end award race, and that's definitely only going to help his case. And then here we go, Stephen McGee on the outside as well. What a fucking pass. Dangerous pass, I might add, but at the same time, pretty much his safety blanket at wide receiver number 5. Beautiful catch. Texas A&M is now up by 9 points before the extra point, and it's going to be 10 points as the Groza Award semifinalist gets it through for yet again another. I think it was now officially his 59th extra point on the season. Flag on this play, 2nd and 8. Gets plugged up. Is it going to be holding? Yes, it is. Only going to add more and more to the detriment of this offense. And then right here, nice little catch right there by tight end number 19, but still not much going for this team as it's 3rd and 12 still. Sam Bradford checks it down. That's just not going to get it done. As now it's going to be A&M's ball again. 8 hurries on the day, 2 interceptions. And A&M has the ball again. It's going to be another easy first down. Wide receiver number 8 gets an extra 5 yards on the play as it's still 17-7. Throws it to Martellus Bennett. Should be an extra 10, 15 yards down the field. The 6'7" specimen, sophomore at tight end. Pass defense has already given up 300 yards today. Not even averaging 200 And then right here, out of bounds, unfortunately. Wasn't trying to just get the coach's challenge on that one. But Stephen McGee just gets destroyed on this play on third down. It's going to lead for another field goal opportunity for Texas A&M. But hey, they're riding well. They've had pretty much at this point, I believe it's 13 unanswered points. 20-7. Remember, it was 7-7 just at the end of the first half. And then right here, Sam Bradford gets a nice completion. Will be short of the first down. 2nd and 2 for Sam Bradford in this Oklahoma offense. And then right here, another interception. This time, though, we've seen this play. It worked quite well, as it was actually a pick 6 against Todd Reesing in the Kansas offense last week. Michael Bennett ends up setting back in the nice little blitz cover zone right there. Michael Bennett gets a second pick of the season after Player of the Week award for all of the NCAA for his performance last week. He's only helping his case again this week against Oklahoma. But, however, it's no touchdown. Going to lead to just 3 sneaky points, as that one just barely gets through. Texas A&M now has 16 unanswered points, 3 field goals. Tight end number 19 wasn't the better tight end on this team compared to Jermaine Gresham, but he is the better tight end on the day, as he is not dropping passes compared to his counterpart on his team. But here we go. Big opportunity to get down the field. There's going to be a flag on the play. Is it going to be defensive pass interference? It's going to actually be unfortunate for this Texas A&M defense, as they're just trying to close this game out. It's going to be offside on the defense. 325 passing yards for Stephen McGee compared to the 139 by Sam Bradford. Both have 2 interceptions on the day. Should have been the third right there by cornerback number 18. 2nd and 5. It's going to be a 3rd and 5, but what is the flag on it right here? It's going to be 3rd and 5. Make it 3rd and 15 after actually accepting it with an incomplete pass on the next play. And then big hit on the sack by Mr. Harrington. Texas A&M just continues to roll. This second half team is just continuing on with the season. And to add insult to injury, one of the biggest playmakers in all of college football, the true sophomore, Mike Goodson's going to return it to the end zone. Now make it, I believe a 29-7 game. Make it 30-7 after the extra point. But just total dominance. 12 to 9 minutes on possession. 370 yards of offense, 20 more plays in this Oklahoma offense. That should have been picked off by Mr. Dodge, left outside linebacker number 50. But now, 7-7. Another drop pass. This team is just checked out of the game. You saw it earlier. That could have been just an easy mishap. Just a little nervous off of a big game. But on 4th down, just a team that looked like they just gave up finally. Started the game off with 60 yards. And the team itself, with DeMarco Murray, who's 90 overall as the backup, ends up with only 57 yards. And just to say fuck you, another school record broken. We saw it earlier this year with passing touchdowns overall by Steve McGee. Now it's receiving touchdowns. Wide receiver number 5, who maybe he goes in the draft. We'll see. Maybe his performance gets him in the 2nd round, possibly a 1st round if he continues the stats, but they haven't been impressive enough. He's most likely going to return to this team as their number 1 option. But hey, Oklahoma beat Texas this year. Prison rules mean that A&M's in position to be the favorite against Texas, but you just never know in the Lone Star rivalry game. But again, a game, 30 unanswered points. Texas A&M comes into Norman. Big game Bob gets pretty much hit in the bobs, as this Texas A&M team remains undefeated against Missouri next week, and then Texas up next on recording. As always, fellas, take it easy.